Will, thanks so much.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing us to the Greek Theater. This is one hell of a room.
Thanks Sugarland for bringing us to
Yeah, fair enough. So have you been on the road for a few weeks with them, or what's the deal?
This is the first night. We've known them for years, through different things, and through different friends and bands and stuff like that. But this is the first night of playing together.
Cool. What's the? You were just sound checking. What's the Greek sounding like? It's
a
very famous venue.
Yeah, this is one of those places. You know, there's a very short list of venues that you kind of keep that you want to play, and this is one, and so we can check this one off now.
What are some of the others? I'm assuming the Ryman.
The Ryman back home was certainly a big one, and we've gotten to do that one twice, which was great. Red Rocks is another one. The Fillmore in San Francisco we've gotten to do.
Is there any left on your list, or have you done them all now?
Red Rocks. I still want to do Red Rocks.
Okay.
So if anybody's watching that has anything to do with that, we can
getting you on
help
Red
me
Rocks.
scratch it off the list, please. Yeah.
What records did you grow up with?
Man, there's so many. My father was a musician when I was a kid. Before I was born, he grew up playing in bands.
What did he play?
He played bass and sang.
Okay.
And then eventually shed the bass and just was the singer. So I grew up kind of a generation removed where all my friends were listening to bad 80s metal and stuff like that. I was a lot of Rolling Stones and the Beatles and the Temptations and James Brown, Otis Redding, Bob Dylan, James Taylor. Just kind of, like I say, more of a 60s and 70s record collection than an 80s record collection.
I read an interview with you saying it was a lot of that stuff, and then there were 4 British bands as well.
Yeah.
What are the 4?
The Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, and who was the other one? I may have just made that up. Oh, Led Zeppelin.
Those are the usual 4?
Yeah.
But the Kinks don't always make it, and why the Kinks for you? What drew you to Ray Davies?
I don't know. Well, I think that there was a real... To me, they were more raw than... To me, that was almost... I think Buddy Holly was the invention of punk rock to me. I mean, the 3-piece just kind of banging things out, especially the early records. And to me, the Kinks were more of that lineage, where the Beatles grew from, this really core, beautiful songwriting and melodies and things like that. And the Stones came from that real bluesy background. And to me, the Kinks they were right in the middle of those two things. But much more, the Kinks were way scarier than those other two, I thought.
Yeah, well, he's a little out there.
Yeah.
He still is, for that matter.
Yeah.
How do you make a set list for a show? Because you got a lot of records now to go through and choose.
Do.
I know Secondhand Heart comes out a lot.
It does.
But that seems to be the one, mainstay.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, shows like tonight where we've only got 20 minutes. It's just, you just kind of throw...
Well, what do you do for a show like this? Because it's not your audience. So,
it's not.
So you're either playing your biggest songs or you're playing whatever the hell you want, because no one's going to know them.
Yeah, and it's kind of a combination of those two things. I mean, and it depends on the environment. I mean, when we're the first band, you kind of... And maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just go out and do whatever the hell we want. But I think we try to cater a little bit to the folks that are sitting in their seats early and try to gauge it kind of by the crowd. So, and some of it changes. I mean, luckily the band knows all the songs. So a lot of times the set list, people will say that after a show, like, can I get your set list? And the set list is never what we write down. It's usually the start, and then somewhere towards the end we'll get back on course, but it's never, it's more of just a guide than anything else. So.
Cool. Well, let's talk about this new record, The Wreckage.
Yeah.
Is it named after the accident, or what?
Well, it wasn't the song The Wreckage was written after the accident, and I guess really everything that I've done since the accident is somehow indirectly at least related to the wreckage isn't about a motorcycle wreck, it's about a relationship that trying to hold the pieces together.
It's got to get in there somehow.
It does, and I don't know.
That's how humans
and I think that's
right?
what it is. I think it's much more of a subliminal thing. It's not something that I thought about. Like, let me sit down and write a bunch of songs about piecing things back together. But there was so much of that going on at the time, and the wreckage at the time. When we were the song was written, and then we talked about titling the album that same thing, and we felt like it was kind of a tip of a cap to me and the band and some of the fans that really stuck with us through the whole process. That it was kind of a nod to them of thank you, and they'll know what that's about. And then folks that are just discovering the record, I don't think it's going to hear The Wreckage and then think, I wonder if this guy had an accident. Yeah. Hopefully they just think it's a cool title. What
did you gain from that? I know a lot of people come to these near-death experiences and are changed in a certain way, or I don't know.
And it changed to sound overly cheesy. I mean, it kind of changed everything. It really is one of those things that you just get a whole new perspective. I've always felt really fortunate, to be able to do this for a living and to have great friends surround me and family and things like that. But just after that, all of those things get put in a much more bright light. You know, my wife and kids and family and my band members and guys that have been there and stood by me through this whole thing. And as a songwriter, it really just refocused me on the craft of songwriting. And you know, people say all the time you have your whole life to make your first record,
right,
and then 6 months to make every one after that. And this was the first time where I really got to step back. You know, we were 3/4 of the way done with the record, we thought, when the accident happened. And then we sort of stood back and looked at things and wrote a bunch more songs and changed some things. And like I said, that really put me back on the path of writing songs and making records and not just touring all the time. So I think there were a lot of real positive things that came out of it in the end.
Yeah, I'm sure there were. Is it harder to be away from the family this time around, though?
Yeah, it is. It's tough. I mean, there's some... we dealt with a lot of post-traumatic stress, I think, within the family and myself included, you know, getting back in a car and driving and being away and things like that. There's a lot that's tough about it. And I mean, it's tough anytime that there's a wife and little kids at home. And this just makes it a little tougher, but it also makes it a little sweeter in the end, too, that, you know, we're still able to do this, and I'm still able to support my family doing this.
It's been about a year. You seem to have a record every 6 months, like you're saying. Well, not every 6 months, but you're pretty consistent for an artist, because most people 2-3 years kind of thing. Yeah. So you must have already started working on the next one.
We do. We are about 90% done with it.
Oh, no way.
And we're hoping that it'll come out sometime in March.
Nice. What is it sounding like? Is it more soul, more rock?
No, it's a little more...
You're kind of all over the board.
Yeah, and it's kind of just another... this one is a little more song-oriented and a little more rooted in story-based songs, I think. And,
writing stories on what?
Monsters,
dragons?
No monsters. Not yet.
No,
but we still got some songs to write. You know, we touched on a few things economically. There's some few things that are a little more family derivative struggles within, you know, a family, working class folks, and things like that. Just a little more topical in some of the songs than we've been in the past.
Cool.
And then we've still got some about girls and cars.
Well, you have to.
Yeah,
that's rock and roll right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the genre thing for a second. I talked to a lot of young bands that are pitching their stuff to labels right now, and they're having trouble. Should we go country? Should we go pop? You kind of float in between the two. Did you have those kind of struggles when you were getting started?
It's easy to get caught in the struggle. No, I didn't, because getting on a record label was never very important to me. The biggest thing to me was always I wanted to write great songs. I wanted to be in a great band. I wanted to play music in front of people. I never stopped to think, I should be trying to do this or trying to do that. It was always just something I wanted to do, and whatever the songs are, and I try to get to the core of those things. So the fact that there was ever a record deal was always kind of a shock to me, and the fact that there's been more than one at this point is even a bigger shock, and I hope that's something that continues, but it doesn't do me any good to worry about where the songs fit or anything like that. That's hopefully somebody else's job.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks
a lot.